What's up, y'all, and welcome back to Yarnum FM. My name is Marcus. I will be your hunter today, and today we've got a lot of stuff to take care of. We're gonna take out Mr. Amygdala, or excuse me, it's difficult because in the game the pronunciation is what is it? Amygdala, or something like that. Whereas amygdala is like the part of the brain, I guess. But in any case, Mr. Amy, I call him Mr. Amy. We're going to take him out today. I talked last time, I mentioned that those beasts are called Loron silver beasts, and that's kind of a bit of an indication that this is Loron, or like this location could be connected with Loron in some way. And we saw the masts from the ships down below, or what appear to be masts for ships. So perhaps there was an expedition to Loron. It's something that we should investigate as we proceed. I ran too far here at the beginning. You can get a good clean shot on his head if you're quick about it, but I accidentally ran too far. This is actually a pretty sloppy fight. We're at the point of the game where I actually haven't played this part too much on the final build of the game. This is something I guess people don't realize. Oh, by the way, I need to mention this. Do enough damage to his head and you can get a visceral like this. Unfortunately, I wasn't using the claw mark rune. I had the beast rune on. I was going to try to use beast mode a little bit, but it didn't really work too well. But yeah, this guy, his head's the weakest part, but his arms that come down are also fairly weak. Roll to the side to dodge these laser shots. He actually shows his eyeballs there. That's really interesting. That's a good chance to whack him in the head, especially if you're using a larger weapon with an overhead attack. Like the dashing R2s of, I guess, like the transform saw spear would be a good weapon. The hunter's axe, any long weapon, basically not the Blade of Mercy. Blade of Mercy, Beast Blood was really not the best way to do this fight, I guess. But once again, it's how I did it. Stuff stays on the ground for a minute and it will hit you like you see me getting hit right here. The first part of this fight, really, I mean, if you've got a bone ash cannon, you can just shoot him in the face, and this will be over pretty quick. But the first part of this fight, if you stay back and just wait for him to do an attack that leaves his arm or his head down on the ground so that you can hit it and get some damage. If you attack his legs, it's not really going to do that much damage to him. So this is a chance to hit him, although you see hitbox kind of funky there. He has this laser attack. It works just like it did when we saw it in Yahar'gul with the Amygdalas there that were using it. The Amy's. Amygdala is kind of a bit of a false god in some respects. Like, I guess it is false. I mean, it depends on how you want to interpret it, but basically there are lots of different types of gods, right? And some of them are kind of how does the game put it? Sympathetic to humans, the plights of humans, but some of them are not so sympathetic, and maybe they have their own motives. And there's all kinds of things floating out there in the darkness. Whether this game is a nightmare or a dream kind of is going to be something that a lot of people discuss about, because the terms nightmare and dream are actually used kind of interchangeably in certain places, particularly when referring to the hunter's dream. You see my Tonitrus was wrecking it there in the top left. That's a little clip to show you what lightning damage does to this motherfucker. Destroys. Actually, a lot of the later game bosses have a weakness to lightning, whereas a lot of the early game bosses have weakness to fire. So now he's ripped his own arms off, and he's gonna attack us with those. So staying at a distance like I am right now is not really the best way to handle this. Instead, you actually kind of just want to get close. Roll in close. You still can't really hurt his legs too much. So you want to try to get at his head or his arms. If I had been using a longer weapon, I would have been able to smack his face there. There we go, got an arm. And you want to, every time you stagger him like that, you want to try to get some damage in. I didn't really do a very good job of this entire fight, but like I said, when you write a guide, there's so much that needs to be done so quickly that you really have to divide tasks up to some extent. So I worked on the weapons a lot more than I did anything else. And you'll be surprised, like the Chalice dungeons, I have not had a chance to play through them on the final build yet. Not fairly. I've been through them, but... So people who think I've practiced these bosses over and over and over, not really. not as much as you might imagine, because the strategies were handled by somebody else this time. Cut him up! Cut him up! I should have finished it right there. Oopsie. Trying to get away from me. Amy, you're going down. Here we go. You can see this is actually the first time I've killed him on the live version of the game, and we got the Chalice of Ailing Loron. Further evidence that this place is either Loron or connected to Loron in some way, shape, form, or fashion. The Ailing Loron Chalice. Loron is a tragic land that was devoured by the sands. The tragedy that struck this ailing land of Loron is said to have its roots in the Scourge of the Beast. Some have made the dreaded extrapolation that Yhar'gul may be next. So it's really interesting. We don't know when that extrapolation was made in the timeline. Like, the way the timeline kind of works out, there's the Great Ones, and there's this Thumeru civilization that's going on. And then sometime after that, after the rise and fall of this Thumeru civilization, we've got Byrgenwerth studying the Thumeru ancients and finding out about the Great Ones. And then things kind of go down from there. So it's just kind of funny how it goes. Here I'm showing you, I actually used the temporary boost to transform plus 50. Not really a good rune for that fight. It would have been better to use Claw Mark for the critical damage. And we're going to do a little bit of insight shopping. I just wanted to show you guys that once you pick up these Holy Chalice ritual materials, they become available in the insight shop. So you can just spend some insight and buy more. And also want to stock up on blood vials a little bit with some of my boss blood echoes, just so that I don't find myself running low. You guys know I like to top myself off. The game's difficulty is really streaky. Lots of stuff, if it's going to kill you, it's going to kill you in like 1 or 2 shots, right? Alright. Next, I know we're moving quick today, but back in Central Yhar'gul, Gilbert's long dead and gone, and that door is bricked up. Somebody wanted me to point that out. That's actually, the door is bricked up. I don't know if that's oversight on their part or what, but we actually have the end of Gascoigne's family's quest here today. You thought it was over last time. It's not over yet. It still gets even darker, because now when we go to the window to try to talk, there's no response. And right down here, a new corpse. Yep, this is the elder sister's corpse. She got the bow, the precious bow that she coveted so much. It's unclear if she suicided or if she fell off. It's unclear why she went outside, but we get the white messenger ribbon from her body. Very sad story. A lot of people are gonna be hating on the older sister for sending her, like, I know a lot of people are going to think that she sent her younger sister outside so that she could try to get at the bow, or because out of jealousy, rather. Let's see, what's it say here? A ribbon made of fine lace that shines remarkably, more suited to pretty young girls than silly old messengers. The thing about it is, I think maybe she was harboring some jealousy towards her younger sister. I think that's kind of common in siblings, but it's the moon, man. The moon has driven these people insane. People are going batshit crazy everywhere, so even these small petty resentments boil over into just absolute insanity. And here, this part's sped up. I'm just showing you. I've already showed you this before. We're running back to Upper Cathedral Ward. That's the next area we're going to do. Don't worry, we'll slow it down when we get there. Just a lot going on in today's episode. I wanted to go ahead and take care of all this stuff. I'm trying to use some bullets because I've got the max, but you see I'm right back maxed out again. Alright. Blue elixir. We've been seeing those used by special doctors of the church. We've been seeing them throughout this entire playthrough. And yes, there is a lamp just ahead. I was almost there last time when I stopped. These guys, these church messengers are not like the ones down below. They've got a lot of health, and they hit hard. You see, he nearly killed me there. Aw. I don't really like the L2 of the Blade of Mercy. It can be useful sometimes, but it's just not my favorite. This place, creepy as hell. That music is so creepy. And being able to look out over the city of Yhar'gul with this kind of evil, otherworldly purple sky. Just, no, man. And these alien looking things right here. But they looked like they were looking at something, right? They were looking up and to the right over there. Their blood also not the same color as human blood. Very interesting to me because, for example, Willem, certain NPCs like Willem, if you attack him, his blood is also the same color as these little alien things. It's not human, like it's not red blood. Another example of that would actually be the doll. If you attack the doll, if I remember correctly, you have a special color of blood. So, but before we continue with Upper Cathedral Ward, speaking of the doll, I actually wanted to show off a different weapon for this area. So I went back and bumped up my blood tinge a little bit, 1 point in fact, exactly 1 point, so that I could use the Rider Palash. And I also, this is the only off-camera stuff that I've actually done in this playthrough, but I actually did some farming off camera, and I'm going to show the little route right here. This isn't actually the best place in the world to farm for chunks, but, you know, I just kind of wanted to just screw around and not think for a little bit. And so I just ran through here a few times, actually several times, and picked up some chunks so that I could upgrade the Threaded Cane a little bit, and also the Rider Palash. So here in Canehurst, these guys, the gargoyle-looking motherfuckers, they can actually drop bloodstone chunks. They don't have a really high percentage. And when you're doing this farming route, this guy right here, he not always, but almost always drops 2 blood vials. So even if you get hit a little bit here or there, you can still, the trip kind of pays for itself because you can get your blood vials back. And of course, you stack up a bunch of blood echoes so you can buy bold hunter marks. That's how I have like 70 up there. I just bought them with the blood echoes. There we get our chunk, man. And then there's another gargoyle that flies down from here. One flies down when you come from one direction, and then another one flies down when you come from the other direction. So you can get 2 right there. And then there's actually one more gargoyle. You see they drop twin stone shards all the time. Chunks are actually fairly rare. That's why it's not a good place to farm for chunks. But you get the twin shards all the time. So if you're wanting to catch up with a couple of side weapons, this is a place you can do it. And this is where I use the bold hunter mark. So this just puts us back at the lamp and it respawns all the enemies without us having to actually go back and visit the dream. Showing off my rune effects. More items from fallen enemies, the discovery rune, that's obvious. More echoes, that's another obvious one. And also more echoes from visceral attack kills, so that we can just maximize how many blood echoes we get. And I'm not leveling up with it other than that 1 point of blood tinge, because I'm not trying to throw off people who are following along. I just wanted to use a different weapon just to show off for the playthrough. So instead, I sunk all of my blood echoes into bolt paper and bold hunter's marks and just kind of consumables, stuff that, you know, it's not really a big deal. All right, now we're pumped up and ready to go. Got that +8 rider pelage. And of course I stuck my gems in it, and I went back to some more combat-oriented runes. Clockwise Metamorphosis, anti-clockwise Metamorphosis. But if I remember right, I did stick with the Blood Echoes Up rune. Because, why not? Might as well get the little bonus. Alright, so that takes care of that little side. I know I'm moving really fast today, guys. I apologize. We'll be back moving at a more normal pace, actually from this point on in the episode. And I know it's post-commentary. People don't like post-commentary. It's post-commentary. I'm sorry. But we'll be moving on to the Nightmare of Mensis next time. And we'll have... That's probably going to be long. It might be 2 or 3 episodes of Nightmare of Mensis. And then we will need to fight another hidden boss, and it's so spooky. And then after that, we have to do all of the Chalice dungeons. Like, there's 10 fixed Chalice dungeons that we have to do, and after we complete those, we can beat the game. So we still have many episodes left to go at this point. Like, we're getting near the end of the game, but there's actually a lot of lore in the Chalice dungeons. You see these guys on the right are going off and looking up and to the right, to the side. I promise we will investigate that in just a second, but these guys to the left, they are a little bit more aggressive. But yeah, I mean, even if we fit every fixed dungeon into one video, I mean, one video per dungeon, that's 10 more, plus like 2 for Nightmare of Mensis, and then another side boss, so we're looking at 13, and then the last bosses. We gotta get the lore, guys. We gotta get all the lore. Plus, there's unique bosses in those dungeons, so... It's not really... It's optional, but it's not optional to me. These guys... What are you looking at? Oh, look at there. That is the Grand Cathedral of Cathedral Ward. That's... The bottom floor of that is actually where we fought Vicar Amelia. Interesting. This Great Lake rune, actually, so-so. It gives you 4% to all damage reduction. We have some other ones that give 5% to bolt, 5% to fire, 7% to arcane, 3% to physical. But this one actually does all damage reduction, so if you get hit by multiple types, it really works out well. I'm not going to mess with these guys because they're just chilling looking at some stuff. And notice they're not looking at the moon. That's another interesting point. Not interested in the moon. You might think that they would be, since everybody else in the fucking game is, but no, it's clearly something else that they're interested in. There's the gun damage of the Rider Palash. Not really that bad, even though you can't use Bone Marrow Ash on it. If you stack this Joker up with blood gems, you can shoot. You can shoot pretty hard. More Frenzied Cold Blood. Makes total sense. It makes absolute total sense that people here would be frenzied. But where is here? I mean, we unlocked the Upper Cathedral Ward with a key that was going to take us one step closer to the choir, so this is obviously the base of the choir, and we'll get confirmation of that here shortly. When people told me that folks were calling one of the enemies in the game ENB, actually my first thought wasn't the pig. My first thought was actually the scythe guy. I was like, damn it, people used that scythe before I made that video. People who weren't around for Dark Souls are wondering what the hell I'm talking about, but... Dead scythe guy. That fire at the base of the stairs, doesn't really deal a tremendous amount of damage to him, and so it's more of an obstacle for you. Real careful creeping in here. Another brain sucker, and these are another enemy that have that different color blood. We've seen these guys before. They have those invertebrates actually inside their heads. They erupt from their heads. So it's interesting to find that as an enemy here. Look at the choir garb. Attire of the choir, high-ranking members of the Healing Church. Members of the choir are both the highest-ranking clerics of the Healing Church and scholars who continue the work that began at Byrgenwerth. Together with the left-behind Grey One, they took to the skies in search of astral signs that may lead them to the rediscovery of true greatness. Rediscovery of true greatness. Once again, Byrgenwerth was studying the Thumeru civilization. Thumeru actually was aware of the Great Ones back then. They actually knew about it. And that's actually the land that Yharnam is built upon. The city of Yharnam is built on top of where Thumeru used to be. So the Chalice dungeons, the catacombs below the city, are filled with relics of the Thumeru civilization. And that's why when we are at the Nightmare Lecture Hall, and we're learning that this used to be a place of archaeology, studied history, well, they were studying Thumeru when they stumbled upon this eldritch truth. Fucking great ones from the stars. So creepy. This was such a Resident Evil area for me for whatever reason. You'd think they'd take some damage from that. Oh, I was wanting to only get the attention of one of them, but I seem to have gotten the attention of several of them. And those blue eyes do tell you that these guys mean business. So I ran back a lot farther than I needed to because I'm trying to get one to reset. And I'll pull out my torch again for you guys. So they can't fit through this door. So we just want to bait them like that, and then a quick weapon, you can just kind of stun lock them like this. The Rider Palash, I actually like the Rider Palash quite a bit. Really useful that it can be buffed. And I think, if I remember correctly, it is the quickest weapon that can be buffed. The Beast Claws may be slightly faster. The Rider Palash and the Beast Claws are both similarly fast. The Blade of Mercy, obviously extremely fast, but can't be buffed. So, and when I say buff, I'm talking about using Bolt Paper or Fire Paper or the empty Phantasm Shell. Beasts all over the shop. Personally, I interpret these beasts as having kind of broken their way in here. Whereas the Brain Eaters, you know, we know that the choir is dealing with the phantasms, as they call them, those invertebrates. Like, we got that lore from the empty Phantasm Shell at Byrgenwerth of all places. And once again, we know the choir is continuing the research of Byrgenwerth, so they're interested in these things. Well, with the Brain Eaters, we see, like, humanoid bodies. It looks like the bodies of humans that have been taken over by phantasms. And this place has these statues. These statues actually do have some meaning that we'll get from the Chalice dungeons as we progress. But also notice these special coffins that they have in here. These, like, these aren't laying on the ground. These are special in some way. They've got these ornate stands for them. You can't break the stone ones, but we can actually break the wood ones, which I think I will do here in just a second. Yep, there we go. You can see the bones inside. So I want to go back to something that we know about the choir. We know that the choir were potent, unseen thinkers of the church. And that keyword, unseen, is... It pops up in a couple of different places in the game. It pops up Here we've got ritual blood again. When all is melted in blood, all is reborn. But the unseen keyword, like, we get that with Yahar'gul, the unseen village, of course. But another place where it actually appears, and I think more pertinent to this, is that the doll describes Gehrman as being unseen here in this dreaming world. Or I can't remember her exact words, but she describes him as being unseen. To me, like, we're getting to the point where, how can I explain this? A lot of people are going to wonder if Bloodborne is a dream, like the whole game is a dream. Here you see me missing with damn attack. And here's the invertebrate popping out of its head. A lot of people are going to be wondering if Bloodborne is a dream or not. Like, if it's the real, is this the real life? Or is this just fantasy? But it actually doesn't matter, because kind of in the Lovecraftian sense, I guess, or let me not specifically call on Lovecraft here, but dreams are kind of a separate plane of existence, but that they're equally real to reality in this world. Got the Cosmic Eye Watcher. The eye signifies the very cosmos. The choir stumbled upon an epiphany very suddenly and quite by accident. Here we stand, feet planted in the earth, but might the cosmos be very near us, only just above our heads? This is just further confirmation. Aliens, man, aliens. The great ones are kind of these space god creatures. Like, that's what we're dealing with here. And as I was saying before, I think that dreams in this world of Bloodborne are equally real compared to reality. Like, it's not like a dream in real life where you wake up and, oh, it was all just a dream. That was actually a separate reality in this universe. I mean, this is my interpretation. Oh, see those nasty looking eyeballs on that statue there? Eyeballs. Well, they continued the work started at Byrgenwerth, and we know that Willem was obsessed with eyes, and eyes on the inside specifically. Like, he was wanting to look within ourselves to achieve greatness, rather than looking to the outside. A lot of people talk about the eye coverings that are found all throughout the game. Well, in Willem's case, ambush! In Willem's case, he had his eyes covered because he wanted to look within. He wanted eyes on the inside. Insight, if you will. Yeah, like I said, those hunched over statues with the little staves, which I think is the plural of staff, if I'm not mistaken, they do have significance that we will be able to get out of the Chalice dungeons. But for now, we gotta wait here for a second. While we're waiting to kill this Brain Eater, tell you guys, people have been asking me what I'm going to do next. I've actually been contemplating The Witcher 3. I was a little bit disappointed. I don't remember much about The Witcher story at this point. I did play The Witcher 2. I was a little bit disappointed in the combat, but I watched a couple of trailers for The Witcher 3, and I've let myself get a little bit excited, so probably going to be playing The Witcher 3. You die. You die. And, of course, Persona 5 and Disgaea coming out this year. I'm excited about those 3 games. But coming, I guess, next month, The Witcher 3 is kind of one of my most anticipated games right now. And, of course, I would love if FromSoft would release DLC for Bloodborne. I would be all over that shit. We get the blindfold cap, because that's the one area the game's lacking in. It just doesn't have enough content. Members of the choir are both the highest ranking clerics of the Healing Church and scholars who continue the work at Byrgenwerth. The eye covering indicates their debt to the teachings of Master Willem, even though their paths diverged. So we kind of witnessed that divergence when Lawrence left Byrgenwerth. I believe that's when we witnessed the divergence right there. He was wanting to pursue the use of blood, whereas Master Willem was saying, fear the old blood, Lawrence, by the gods, fear it. Here we get more pearl slugs. We've seen them before. I guess at Byrgenwerth is where we picked it up. I can't remember. But yeah. clear signs of the left behind Great Ones. So according to this, there are still Great Ones left behind in the Chalice dungeons. So things are getting real. Things are getting real. But yeah, I would definitely be all over DLC for Bloodborne. Especially add a few weapons, add some areas, put in some more story stuff. I would be all over it. This is nasty. There's actually 2 Brain Eaters. There's one over to the left over there. You can just barely see him. So I want to rush up here and kill this guy quick. Remember, thrusting attacks are really good. If you don't have thrusting attacks, use some elemental. And he poised right through my Rider Palash attacks there. Foolish of me to just keep mashing like that, but I thought I was either going to kill him or break him out of it first. Picked up an orphanage key off of this Brain Eater. The orphanage key. Key to the orphanage, birthplace of the choir. The orphanage, shadowed by the Grand Cathedral, was a place of scholarship and experimentation where young orphans became potent, unseen thinkers for the Healing Church. The choir, that would later split the Healing Church, was a creation of the orphanage. So, alright. Lots of mind-blowing stuff right here. First of all, we're near the Grand Cathedral. That's going to be important. Second of all, it's no coincidence that they're orphans. Like, first of all, these are kids that aren't going to be missed if something happens to them. But in the second place, we have Great Ones seeking surrogate children, and we have orphans seeking the cosmos. Like, it just kind of makes sense, you know? But also, once again, it said they're going to be potent, unseen thinkers. And that kind of gets back to this point about Gehrman being unseen. I think that's an interesting thing. So, is he related to the choir in some way? Oh my god! Remember I talked about Resident Evil moments. You don't actually have to trigger that. And I almost got myself fucking killed trying to do it, just trying to show it off. Normally you want to trigger that and just run down here through one of these doors. And then he can't fit through, so you'll be alright. But you don't have to trigger that at all. You can't just pick up the item and slip back through that door to the side. But so if they're potent, unseen thinkers, and if the connection that I'm making is true, and I don't know, it's just speculation, but if Gehrman is the host of the Hunter's Dream, if he is the supporter of that plane of existence, then could it not be that these orphans were being used to support separate planes of existence, separate dreams, as it were? And here, a very curious corpse in a very curious pose, locked there. And if we examine the corpse, make contact. Use this pose to make contact with the Great Ones, trying to make contact with the cosmos. Very, very interesting. And another kind of key point of interest, I want you to remember that where we are right now is near the Grand Cathedral. There it is, right there. And also near Uden Chapel. And once again, Uden is a great one, but he is dun 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 unseen because he exists in voice only. So many kind of connections and interconnections and stuff going on right here. It's really starting to get deep now. It's really starting to get deep. I guess the other thing that I didn't mention from that orphanage key description is that the choir would eventually split the church, and so that kind of backs up what I'm saying about the School of Mensis and the choir not necessarily being on good terms with one another. The church has been split. Let's see, let's open up this gate. I'm actually going to do a quick splice right here because after I opened this gate, I went back and did a long run through the area just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Notice also these drapings on the ceiling similar to where? You guessed it, Uden Chapel. But I did another run through the cathedral or not the cathedral, but the orphanage to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And I'm just gonna cut that out because I didn't miss anything. So, or at least I didn't find anything that I missed. Let me put it like that. And so now we're gonna go up the stairs. Oh man, these things are creepy and they're covered in eyeballs. Some of them holding fires, some of them not holding fires. I wonder if that's supposed to be some sort of message or if that's just... That's the tricky thing, you never know what's a significant detail and what's just them doing something because it looks cool. We are not surprised at all to see a little moon guy. Not surprised at all. And remember, fake Yosefka appeared to be making these things, although it seems like she was doing it as an experiment, like seeking to evolve herself is the way it appears to me. Once again, always just my interpretations, my speculations as they stand now. I reserve the right to change my mind. You know what I mean? Like, there's always different ways to interpret this. Celestial Emissary. An emissary being a diplomat or an envoy, someone who communicates between two organizations, two nations, or perhaps mankind and the moon. This is a trick battle. Only one of them is the real target, so I'm leading a lot of these guys away from the main area. The one that is the main target in this phase, he won't actually attack you. So the ones that are coming to attack you, and you see the damage doesn't pop up over his head, it pops up on the bar below. So very weak against thrusting attacks, very weak against bolt attacks. So bolt paper on a Rider Palash destroys. He can use magic in this third phase where he grows these tentacles, but you see, he didn't really have a chance. You can use the pillars to block the magic if you want, but these lumen flowers here appear to be the source of, it appears to be where these things are coming from, perhaps, like literal pod people. I don't know, but one thing that really strikes me as interesting, that was the Celestial Emissary boss. A lot of people are going to think that that's an emissary from the aliens, from the stars, to humans, but what if that was an emissary from humans to the Great Ones? Like, we've already seen that people can be turned into these kin of the cosmos. You can be turned into these things. So what if orphans were being turned into these in order to contact with the stars? We're not done with this area yet. That looks familiar in there. That place looks familiar. I wonder if we could just... How about that? Here we see we are actually upstairs in the Grand Cathedral. That's where we fought Vicar Amelia down there. And remember the item that we couldn't get when we fought Vicar Amelia. I did not forget, guys. This is it. It's up here. You can actually get to it. So cool. Lawrence, or who I think is Lawrence's skull down there. A Call Beyond. Actually, basically, the interview with Miyazaki and the guide pretty much confirms that's Lawrence's skull. Long ago, the Healing Church used phantasms to reach a lofty plane of darkness, but failed to make contact with the outer reaches of the cosmos. The Rite failed to achieve its intended purpose, but instead created a small exploding star, now a powerful part of the choir's arsenal. At times, failure is the mother of invention. The power of the cosmos as achieved by the choir. Now, just ahead here, there was another boss. This is a hidden boss in here, but we're not going to fight it today. We're going to come back. Actually, we're going to come back with a +10 weapon. Also, I need to get the new patch because there is an issue with this elevator that's been bugging out and causing some people to be unable to actually do the fight. So I need to get, I want to get the newest patch, which is supposed to correct that issue. And we're back in a dream. The dream, it's real. I'm just gonna mix and match my garments here a little bit. I think it looks kind of cool having the blindfold cap with the Yahar'gul outfit. I think that looks pretty sweet. Guys, sorry it's been such a rush, like so much stuff happening so fast today. I'm gonna slow it back down again next time, I promise. Just had a lot going on in my life, so I had to do post commentary. You would not even believe me if I told you some of the shit that's going on. And I am showing my level ups here. 33 vit. I was looking whether to go up with vid or skill or endurance, but then the game made my decision for me. Just that HP total, like. How when you receive the calling, you do not refuse. All right.
Farewell, good hunter.
Yeah. So next time we're gonna go into Nightmare of Mensis. We're gonna get started there, and should be pretty fun. I'll catch you guys on the next Yarnum FM. I am Marcus. Catch you later.